Thank you all for coming back after lunch. Our last speaker is Ms. Jennifer Schneider. She has been with Polk State for the past year and heads our College Resource Center here on the Learning Haven campus. And please help me welcome her. But first, has anyone seen a wallet? A black wallet?
It was picked up from this back table right over here.
Sometime during lunch. Okay. We might have a crime scene right here. We might need to start dusting for fingerprints.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay without a mic? I'd rather not use a mic when I'm not here. I used to teach high school, so I can project. My name is Jennifer Schneider. I have only been at Polk State for a year. Before that, I was at UCF and USF. And then in my first life was a high school teacher. So I am career services at Polk State. They hired me a year ago, and I am the single staff member here on this campus. There is one of me on the Lakeland campus, so if any of you guys go to Lakeland primarily, Jessica Buchanan is my counterpart on the Lakeland campus. So instead of making, I heard that there were lots of you, and whenever I saw that I was going to be after lunch, I thought we might lose some. That's okay. I appreciate your being here. I didn't want to make 150 copies of things that I'm going to talk about, and then 10 of you actually want them and keep them. So I have my business cards here. I'm going to just I'm going to give them and just let you pass them around and take one. If you want to get copies of either the PowerPoint I'm going to go through, or I'm going to show you a sample resume, and I have some other resources that I might be able to send to you. So if you're interested in those, if you'll email me, I'll send them to you electronically. That way we don't kill too many trees. Try to be a little bit responsible at least. And so my job here is sort of twofold. I help students at Polk State. We have lots of AA students who are here and don't really know why they're in college or ultimately what career they're headed for. And so part of my job is helping students figure out what that is and then helping them to really prepare so that whenever they leave here at graduation, they're ready to walk into the workforce or at least to a transfer institution that will prepare them further. So I'm going to, if you're not sure, I guess that's my first thing. We're going to talk about criminal justice, careers there today. But if you're really not sure this is where you're going to stay or you have some questions, I would love to chat with you, and you can email me and we can schedule that as well. So the first thing I want you to do, raise your hand if you're currently employed, either part-time or full-time, or have a job. Lots of you. All right, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. I want you to think about how many jobs you've had in your life and try to count them. Yeah, just in your head, think about how many jobs you've had. Some of you, it'll be easy. You've only had one or two. Some of you have probably had a handful. All right, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to stand up if you have had 5 or more jobs. Stand up if you've had 5 or more jobs. Stay standing if you've had 8 or more jobs. 8 or more jobs. Stay standing. 10? Everybody's sitting down. Somewhere around 10? Okay, because I want to talk to you whether you're employed now or you're not. Chances are that in the next couple of years, you're going to be applying for a new job. Whether it's within your same organization and you're applying for promotion, or if you're applying for a brand new job once you get your degree. Here's what we know. This is from the Department of Labor. We know that more than a third of the U.S. labor force changes jobs annually, which really makes my job complicated because we don't know what we're preparing you for. Today, students will have 10 to 14 jobs by the age of 38. So some of you were a good example, a good illustration of that. Half of the workers have been with their company less than 5 years. Lots of new employees everywhere you go. No, I'm one of those. And then every year, this one's fascinating to me, more than 30 million Americans are working in jobs that did not exist the year before. And so when we think about, especially with technology, but there are lots of reasons. time. And so it's really good for you to not just think about the hard skills you're getting in class. Those are good. We know from employers that Polk State produces very, very well-trained students, well-trained employees, that when you leave here, you have a lot of skills that they look for. But we also want to be mindful of the fact that you may not always be doing the job that we're preparing you for here, and that you might be one of these who hops around. And we want to make sure that you're getting the other skills that reach across all careers. And my perspective on this isn't I can't validate this with any research, but my perspective is you have these, and I think most of our students have these, but they don't know how to demonstrate it, they don't know how to articulate it, they don't know how to connect those dots with, when you're in employment, and if you're working, and let's say you're a federal work study student, and you work on campus, and that's not, and maybe your goal is to be, your long-term goal is to be a detective. Your work study experience probably isn't detective work, probably not related exactly to that, but there's certainly skills that you're gaining in the classroom and in that work study environment that are preparing you to be a good detective. So I think it's our job as college administrators and as faculty and even students to help each other to identify what those skills are that we're getting. So one of the ways you can do that, I didn't put an official slide in here, but how many, you're AS or bachelor's students primarily, is that right?
Yes.
Give or take. You have the opportunity to have an internship experience. How many of you have done an internship before? Okay. Their internship, internships are a great way to do that, and a great way to sort of put your toe in the water and see what it's like, see what you like, see what you don't like, see what you like about a particular employer and what you don't like, see what you like about a particular work environment and what you don't like. Job shadowing, we're able to help students find people who are doing the work that they ultimately want to do and spend some time. Now that's a little bit different. In your industry, there are some legal parameters that we have to work around, but we're really hoping that students, while they're in college, while they're taking classes, before they go out there, that you're gaining some experience, learning what you love, learning what you don't love, so that you're not surprised when you graduate and you get out there and get into the real world. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of steps of things that I think if I could make you, I can't, but if I could make you do some things, take some really practical steps while you're still in classes, while you're still in college, to prepare you for the ultimate job, for your job that you get post-graduation. The first thing I would encourage you to do is develop an elevator speech. Who knows what that is? You know what an elevator speech is? Some people call it an elevator pitch.
Is that like you teach your go-to phrase?
Spiel. Yeah, your spiel. It's great to be able to introduce yourself and share with someone who you are and what you know and what you have to contribute in 60 seconds or less. And that sounds silly, like of course you could talk about yourself in 60 seconds or less, but the truth is sometimes when we get in front of people who might matter to our career, when we get an opportunity to meet someone who's in a senior administrative position, who has senior rank, that we fumble and bumble over our words. And how many of you, I do that all the time, walk away and think, oh, that sounded like an idiot. I wish I had said this. You know. And so it sounds a little silly, but it's really good practice to be able to look at someone and say, hello, my name is Jennifer Schneider. I'm the Career Services Coordinator at Winter Haven. At the Winter Haven campus, see, I already stumbled. And to give a 60-second, here's who I am, here's what I'm passionate about, here's what I think I can contribute. When you go to an interview, almost always the first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself, right? Well, I was born, and they don't want to know all that. They want to know who you are and what you're passionate about. They want to be able to read you really fast. And that first impression, when you finally get a face-to-face opportunity, whether that's an interview or it's just a networking opportunity, where you're out in the community and you happen to get to meet someone. I met the sheriff very recently, and I felt just like I just talked to you about. Like I thought, oh, he must think Polk State hires idiots, because I was, fumbling and bumbling because I didn't know I was going to meet him, and it was just sort of immediate. So to be able to have something prepared, I did a workshop with some of my students on this so that I was able to try to practice mine too. So it's really important. So I want us to walk through that process real quick, and I'm going to give you a chance to practice it just a little bit. So I want you to consider, not write them down yet, this isn't necessarily what you're going to share, but being self-aware is really critical. Knowing who you are, knowing what your key strengths are. So sit, look at these for just a couple of minutes and think through how you would answer those in your own mind. So if you're going to a community event and you knew that there were people there were likely going to be people there who would serve as great contacts for you, professional contacts, you might think about what you would want them to know about you if you had the opportunity to talk to them. When they walk away from you, what are they going to remember? Oh, that's the woman who blank. Oh, that's the man who was this. Not probably the bumbling idiot, right? Like you want them to remember what you said. So do you have something to write on? Can you share? I want you in just 1 or 2 word answers. I want you to answer these questions. But I want you to answer them on paper if you can, because it'll help you ultimately with the activity. They don't have to be complete sentences. You'll ultimately want to write out complete sentences and practice it, but for time's sake. And let's assume you're going to a reception before graduation. And some key community leaders will be there. So you know that there's a chance you're going to meet somebody important. Somebody who might be able to help you out later. Communication is one of the skills in the third slide I showed, one of the skills that employers say they desperately want to see in candidates, and a skill they say they often don't see. Strong communication skills. One of the things they complain about nationally, and then even anecdotally to me whenever I'm just talking to employers in our area in particular, and we send students out to jobs and to internships. You've got 1 more minute to jot these answers down. All right, I want you to look at it now, spend just a minute looking through your answers, and imagine what you would say to someone. Imagine it in complete sentences. Think about if you could meet whoever you'd really love to work for, ultimately, really love to work for. All right, so now we're going to practice. I want everybody to play, okay? Don't be going to sleep after lunch. Time. I don't even have lunch yet. I want you to turn to someone. Get up and walk if you have to walk across the room. I want you to turn to someone. I want you to shake their hand, and I want you to introduce yourself to them using your 60-second or less elevator. Just tell them your name. Tell them about you. Okay, go.
Who are you hiding with? I want you to say that. Hired, but I want to be very small kids. I think you want to do a good job. I'm very busy.
Working with others. I can take part in
I am a user, a heartfelt person, something like that, you know. That's what you hire you well. It was a result to or something like that. You know what I mean? I want to think that word. Yeah, right. You want to socially do that and help like I try to help you, you know. I can translate social work the shit out of it. It's like that, you know. Trust you. That's for social work.
Probably not going to walk right up to someone and say, hi, my name is Jennifer Schneider, I'm here for research. Right? Because that would be overwhelming.
I've totally done that.
That would be overwhelming. They might think, no, we're going to remember you, but they're going to remember you.
That's what I said I want. I want to be remembered.
But there would be opportunity when you get to say, hi, my name is Jennifer Schneider. Hi, Jennifer, how are you? I'm doing great. And someone, they might say, what are you interested in? Or are you a student here? Or some open-ended question that would allow you to elaborate on who you are. So who spoke to someone who had a good one? Who did well? Whose partner did well? Tell on your partner. Yours did? You? In the back?
I'm a goldfish member. I can't remember what I said.
Okay, so you were winging it?
I was winging it, yes.
Okay, but you did it well. So will you stand up? Can you tell us what you said?
I wasn't good at all. I thought it was horrible.
Try it.
I got the last part from Full Metal Jacket.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jordan Steffi. I don't remember. I just said I'm a good leader, I'm a good follower. I'm tough, but I'm fair. Actually, all the questions that I'm studying is for a board in the military, so
Okay.
kind of doesn't really do this anymore.
Okay. All right, but that's okay. That's a good time, certainly, if you're to be able to articulate what your goals are and what your strengths are. Okay. I'll let you off the hook. Anybody else have a partner who did it well? I'm not telling them. Anybody else have anybody who did it really well? Good work to do. I'd encourage you to practice it. Practice it in the mirror. That sounds really silly, but our communication skills are best when practiced. I think sometimes we have brilliant thoughts. By the time they get to our mouths, they're less brilliant, right? So particularly whenever you're going to be, when you know you're going to be faced with an opportunity to network professionally, go ahead and practice that little 60-second, 30-second, 10-second, whatever it is. But practice who you are. You should at least know that and show some confidence in that. I know who I am. I know my strengths. I know what I like. I know what I'm passionate about. So,
I got a question.
yes.
As a parent, I work at a state prison for 21 years, so it's been a while since I had to go look for a job. Nowadays, are they more online or the computers, or is it personal? Do they
Interviews,
go
is that what you
and-
mean?
Do they go and, when they're looking for a job, do they have to go to that place?
Rarely.
or they go through the computer?
Rarely. Almost all of your initial interaction is going to be electronic, which is a great transition for me, because that means how you look on paper is really, really important. Let me go back. What's the purpose of a resume?
So you can make yourself look good?
Sell yourself on paper.
To sell yourself.
Yeah, to sell yourself. Your resume isn't going to get you a job, but what you want your resume to do is to make them just interested enough to want to talk to you, right? And if you have a phone interview, you want to sound just interesting enough that they want to see you. And so the resume is that first impression, that first look. And I can tell you, we have had dozens and dozens of students blow jobs for which they were totally prepared for. Just really mess up their opportunity for jobs that they absolutely could do well because their resumes were a disaster. And they sent it to the employer and the employer said, if this is the best you can do, I'm going to try to find someone better. So it's really critical. So we're going to talk about some really, really basics for resumes. And then I'm going to encourage you that if you have a resume, if you don't have a resume, that you get one. If you do have one and you think it's okay, that you send it to me and let me, or Jessica Buchanan, she's on the Lakeland campus, if you send it to one of us and let us give you some feedback before you send it off to anyone. Because we had an intern in particular just probably 2 weeks ago who Ms. Chisholm, who is the intern, Lynn Chisholm is the internship coordinator. She was working really closely with this student. Then this student went rogue and sent the resume to the internship supervisor without having her look at it, and he didn't get the internship, and he absolutely should have. We know the student, so we know he had everything they were looking for, but he had these spellings, it wasn't formatted well, it was too long, so it blew his chance, and he was unable to get that, so we had to find something else for him. So it's really important. You want to write. You want to avoid a template if you can. Templates are fine if you're just trying to get an idea of sections. But what happens is you want to be able to use the same resume throughout your career and just keep tweaking it. Just let it be an ongoing document. Because sometimes we forget things that we did that would be really good on a resume, but then we forgot we did them because we did them a long time ago. And if you don't keep that sort of ongoing, now you're going to take things off as you go probably. As they get older, you're going to take them off and you'll add your newer stuff on, or if they're less relevant, you were stretching it to make it seem like it was relevant. You have some more relevant experience, then you'll manipulate it some. But I would encourage you to just start with a fresh Word doc and something that you can just continue. It's a living document that you'll just keep changing. You want to use active verbs. Employers want to take a quick glance and they want to see what you've done, and you want to use really strong active verbs. And I have a sheet of those in my office, and I have them electronically that I can send to you. And we'll look at an example up here. But when you're talking about your work, you want to make sure you show what you did, not what some people say. For example, some people say responsible for cash transactions, or responsible for taking money from customers. Just say managed cash transactions. Managed is a stronger verb than responsible for, right? That you did it. So even if you helped in it, own it. Say you did it. And we can work on some of that, especially if you're trying to stretch it a little. Size matters. Keep it simple. Keep it short. If you're an entry level, if you're a traditional college student and you've had 2 jobs and you're applying to a 3rd job, your resume should only be that page. Right? I mean, so they don't need to know every single thing you did. Some of my students have said, like, open and close the store. And so I said, does that mean like unlock the doors? Yeah. Okay, well that shows some responsibility, but we can take that one off. If you have 8 bullets, let's take that one off. Because that you can unlock and lock a door is probably not a fantastic skill that they're going to be really impressed by. Wow, that's fantastic, right? So you want to be able to really show some of your core responsibilities, and try to think about that initial list that shows communication, that shows problem solving, your problem solving ability, that shows your ability to think critically. So you want to be able to think about those things that you know employers are looking for. I'm going to show you a sample in a minute. Include involvement experience. Sometimes students say, well, I've only ever worked one job and it was at Burger King, so I don't know what to put here. That's a great reason to be involved on campus or in the community if you're not. Employers, any employer in any industry, in any profession, really value community engagement, your willingness to help people on your off time. So whether that's through school, clubs, organizations here, if that's through leadership positions in professional organizations, if that's through running the concession stand at the Little League field, whatever it is, employers love whenever you're willing to work hard when you don't have to, when you're not being paid. So include that stuff if you haven't. Use a consistent format. I get all kinds of mess with bold and underline and italics, and if you try to make it too busy, then it turns them off. So try to keep it really consistent and really simple. Leave the past behind. You probably want to omit, if you've been out of high school for more than 4 years, you probably want to take that stuff off. And here's my thing with grade point average. Some of you had really awesome GPAs in high school. Some of you have really awesome GPAs here, and you're proud of that, and that's fantastic. The problem is that your employer, your potential employer, might not have been a great student, and might not want a worker who had a 5.7 GPA, right? Because that says something, and they're going to say, ah, right? They don't want somebody. So I would, unless it seems that your academic ability matters for the position, or unless it's for a position where they say, we want students with only a 3.5 GPA or better, I leave your GPA off, right? You could probably find another way to share that with them at some other point, but sometimes we get so excited about our GPAs, but actually that can be a negative. Does that make sense? It just depends on who's hiring you, but you don't know. You don't know how great of a student you were. If you're getting a bachelor's or an AS degree, they're going to ask for that qualification. That's really all they want to know. Do you have the degree? They want somebody with a degree. That's it. Get feedback before you submit it. Required components of a resume. You want your contact information there. It would be terrible to land a great job and they couldn't find you. Your education. You're all college students, I assume, since you're here. I don't know that. I'm making assumptions. But if you are a college student, own that. Be proud. Put that right up top. Right? Reverse chronological order. So you would put even if you're not done with your degree, you put Bachelor of Applied Science. Is that what it is? Bachelor of Applied Science? Bachelor of Science? Or Associate of Science, whatever it is. And then put anticipated May 2015 or whenever you think you're going to graduate. Go ahead and own this degree you're working on, because then at least they see that you're working towards something. And then you put your other, whatever you have, whatever. You can see down here, if you want to put relevant coursework there, you can, if it helps you for that job. If you've taken classes, so if you're not quite done with your degree, but you've taken 2 classes that directly relate to what they're hiring you for, you might want to put that just to highlight that you've had some training there. Certainly want to write your employment experience and your skills, particularly if they're asked for in the job description. So if they want someone who can run a certain software or do something really specific, and you have that, you've done that before, make sure you highlight that on your resume. I can send this whole PowerPoint to you, so some of you guys are writing everything down, which is fine. But if you email me, I'll send it to you. Okay, so here's just an example. It's hard to see. Maybe I can. Okay. Up here, seeking a position in the field of criminal justice and law enforcement, city, state, federal. So this is just sort of introducing what he or she is looking for. You can do that. You can have an objective. Objectives, people argue. People in career services sort of have different opinions about whether or not an objective statement. If you're applying for a position, then we assume your objective is to get that position. So you don't really have to say that. But sometimes if you're applying to a big agency where there's a lot going on there and you really want to specify the types of career you're looking for, then it could be that they say, well, this one, actually we have one that will suit you even better. based on your career. If you're a college student and you're just looking for some part-time, you just need money, and it's not necessarily career relevant. It's not necessarily going to help you move toward your ultimate career, but you just need a job. You can certainly put that you're a college student looking to develop careers, develop skills that will ultimately help you transition into a career or something like that. You can use the college student thing, that you're just trying to develop skills and get some experience. And then here's some more just sort of a broad, you don't have to do it like this, but this particular person put some bullets that just sort of describe him or her. Education again, right here. And then work experience. I would not do it this way. I would actually put receptionist, ABC store, and then put bullets underneath that of things that I did as a receptionist. And then payroll clerk and bullets and things I did as a payroll clerk, and leave those spaced out. Employers kind of they don't like this because it's vague. Did you only do this one time in all of these years, or, right? And then this person put computer skills at the bottom separately. So you don't have to do it this way, but this was just an example that's clean. You see it's not busy. Please don't put your picture on it. Please don't put your picture on it. Don't put it on colored paper. I would recommend no color at all. Don't put icons. We've had people put like clip art. So for like work, it was like a, I don't know, like a little icon for work. You don't want to stand out for having a weird resume. You want them to skim your resume and be impressed because it's clean and you're organized. If you have a clean resume and they're we laugh. We have a collection of them that we're going to scan sometime and just hold on to. Because somebody will say, attention to detail, but there are misspellings all over the paper. Well, you're not paying attention to detail if you have lots of misspellings. So you want this to show that you're organized, that you've worked hard, that you want this, that it's important to you, that you spent some time on it. You don't want them to not be able to tell what you've done, not be able to find things. So make sure that those sections stand out really well, but that you use a good, clean font. No handwriting or whatever, curlicue, crazy stuff. Okay? Those are for birthday invitations. All right. Then, so you have a resume, and I can help you. Let's get one for you. Okay? And it's clean and it's nice. So if you have a resume, why do you need a cover letter? What's the cover letter do?
Makes it pop.
Makes it pop?
Yeah.
How?
Gives them a reason to look at your resume.
Okay.
If it has a cover letter and it looks like junk, they're not even going to look at the resume. It doesn't
That
feel
is
their
true.
interest.
Directs it towards that job.
Do what?
You can direct it towards that job that you're applying for.
Yeah, you can be a little more specific. So when I write a cover letter, I look at the job description. And I say, okay, how can I connect the dots between this job description and me? And your resume does that some, but you can be softer than your resume. You can express enthusiasm with the cover letter. You shouldn't express, I don't know how you do that on a resume, but don't. Just the facts on the resume, right? The cover letter is an introduction, and you can't be specific to that place. I have always wanted to work at a store like yours. So you're seeking a career in whatever it is, so or in an agency like yours. So maybe you're from Polk County originally, and you love the sheriff, and your ultimate goal is to work in the sheriff's office. So you, on your resume, your career objective might be to work in law enforcement. So that's your career objective. But on the letter, you can talk about why you love Polk County and why you really want to invest in the safety of its residents, and why you're so passionate about your home and you can be more personable and get their attention. So then they want to look at your resume, and it makes you a person. Okay, so the cover letter is really, really important. Now, if it's too long, you're not going to read it. If it's too short, they're going to think you didn't spend time with it. So it's a little tricky, and that is really, it's good to have sort of a generic one just that you can tweak. But that really is going to be, I hope, very specific to the job that you're applying for, very specific to the place. And you can look at that job description and make those ties. If you know they're looking for people who are dependable, you can talk about why, evidence that you're dependable. If they're looking for someone who can work nights and weekends. You can talk about how you're fortunate because your life allows you right now, where you are in life allows you to work nights and weekends, whatever it is. Try to make those ties so they say, oh, this person is exactly what we're looking for. Let me look at the resume. Yeah, the resume confirms that you have some real experience, whether it's work experience or volunteer experience or class experience that supports what you just said on your cover letter. So I'm a big fan of cover letters. When I'm on screening committees, I don't give resumes much of a look because I feel like if they didn't take the time to write a letter, then they were just sending out mass resumes, and I'm not impressed by that. They don't really want to come here to work here. So I think the cover letter shows you took some time to really think intentionally about that position and that place. One page, connect the dots, use the job description as an outline, convey what the resume doesn't. Write who you are, more of the person, less of the work. And then you want to nail the interview, right? So the cover letter is to get you the interview. I mean, the resume is to get you the interview. The interview is what's going to get you the job. So very, very few times do people just look at a resume and hire somebody based on it. So I had the interview prep is a whole separate thing. I could be here for hours talking about how you can be ready for an interview. But just real quick, practice out loud. Do a practice interview. I can do that with you. I just did one yesterday that someone was applying for a job at Geico, had an interview. That afternoon he came into my office and we spent 30 minutes. He walked into my office, I stood up, I shook his hand, how are you doing, have a seat, and I asked him questions that are typical. We're going to look at some typical questions for interviews. Practice, 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 out loud. Because it does sound different when it comes out of your mouth than the way it sounds in your head almost all the time. So you want to make sure that that's consistent. What you know you want to say actually comes out. Research the place. Know where you're going before you get there. Know about them. Know things that'll surprise them. Know things they don't know about their business, about their organization, about wherever it is that you're going. Because that too shows that you really want to be there. Not just anywhere. I don't just want to be a law enforcement officer. I want to be a law enforcement officer with your agency. Dress for success. Even if you're in a position that isn't going to require you to dress up every day, dress up for the interview. Be the best dressed person in the room. I don't mean to overdo it. No. But be polished, and we can talk about what that means if you're not sure. Display confidence but not arrogance. There's a fine, fine line. A fine line. And so you want to hold your shoulders back, you want to shake it. Give your neighbor a handshake. Shake your neighbor's hand. Shake your neighbor's hand. See, this is some of you women doing these little no, you want a good handshake, right? That says so much. That seems silly. Your handshake and the way you walk says so much about how you feel about this job. I'm the person you want. But then you don't have to say that because then that's arrogant. Oh, you want me. No. I always love when students talk about all the professional experience they bring. It's really, I'm going to be an asset to your organization. Well, probably not. If you've never worked before, probably not. Maybe eventually. But so you want to be grateful for the opportunity. But you want to be confident and excited. And this is really where I want to be. And what I don't know, I'm confident that I can learn. But there's a fine line there. But that walk, your shoulders back, that all seems so elementary, but the way you walk into the room, as soon as you walk into the room, I'm guilty when I'm on screening committees, I make judgments the second they walk in. Had a guy with dirty fingernails. Might have been brilliant, but I couldn't even hear him because his fingernails were dirty. Yes?
It says, don't say I will be an asset. What do you say I will strive to be an asset?
Absolutely.
That shows, it's not arrogant.
Yeah, or I can become an asset. I think when you have, the key there is that if you don't have any experience and you go in saying, oh, your company's going to fall apart if you don't hire me. Okay. Go in and be eager to be a part of the team. Be eager to be part of a really fantastic organization. That you want to be part of this, what's going on here. Because you've researched and you know what's going on there. Right? And if it's not a good place to be, don't take those jobs. Recite your elevator speech, because that's the first question every time. So practice it before you go. And then be gracious, thank them when you leave, write a thank you note, write a handwritten thank you note if it's possible. You don't have to write it to every person in the room, because a lot of times you're gonna interview with a group. But write a thank you note, thank them for your time. And try to reference some part of the interview in the thank you note that was specific to you. I really, really appreciated learning about this or something, reference. So they say, oh yeah, it was that person. Because sometimes they run them through and they've got lots of interviews all during the day and they might not remember you. Don't be remembered for being obnoxious. Don't be remembered for wearing something crazy, right? I don't know. We can talk about all this. I don't have time. But if you have tattoos, cover them. If you want to know law enforcement, tattoos. If you want to any criminal justice area, probably tattoos. And it's okay to have them. That's a great form of self-expression for a lot of people. But if it can be covered, best to cover it. Know the dress policies. My husband works for Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department. He can't have any facial hair. So you should probably think about that. If that's the case where you're going and you have facial hair, if I were you, I'd shave before I go to dinner. Don't make him tell you. Because you should know. I know. And my husband had the man thing, and I really liked it on him, but he's gone. He hasn't had it in years now because he's been in the sheriff's office. But, and I think that's silly. I don't get it. But whatever. I don't make the rules. So, yeah, know the policies. Know what the policies are and abide by them before you're employed there, if that's really where you want to be. All right, common interview questions. And I don't have a few minutes, but sorry. Common interview questions. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What interests you most about this position? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Tell me about a time when you disagreed with the supervisor's decision. There's that critical thinking, problem solving. They want to know, how do you handle it? And what are your greatest strengths? What are your greatest weaknesses? Have an answer. It's okay to say, wow, that's a good question. Let me think about that for just a second. That's okay, but I don't have any weaknesses is a bad answer. I've never disagreed with my supervisor. That's a bad answer. So try to think of some of those. They want to know. When things don't go your way, what do you do? How do you cope? So real quick, I'm going to give you like 60 seconds. I want you to turn to a partner, someone sitting near you, walk if you have to, ask them one question off this list and have an answer.
Oh, yes. I can tell it's very bad. I thought you were something passionate. Yeah, I am reliable. I am punctual. If you're not, I agree if you're not late. You're not in this interview. And I am very confident.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years.
I see myself in 5 years.
I'm like this really quick. What we do sometimes. Last Friday. No, it was not.
Maybe in your position.
Okay, that would be too
I was like, I actually know it's 5 years ago.
Yeah?
I actually know it 5 years ago. Now that I have downtown.
I see that in games that know that one. That's why I asked him that one. Because a hard one. If he not knows, we can just
Yeah, what's your 5 year one? I would like to have a steady job, preferably in,
Yes.
I would like to have a house of my own. I would like to have a car of my own. I would like to, yeah, I like play bad someday. I would do 20 because my job is not, well, no, it's like 7. It's picking up my day.
Wow, that's sad. Games like your age better than you do.
No, I'm thinking ahead because I'm turning 23.
I was thinking
earlier.
Okay, so here's, we have 5 minutes, so let me wrap this up. If you answered it with 1 or 2 words, that wasn't great. If you answered with 1 or 2 stories, that's not great either. Somewhere in between. So I heard a little bit of both, so that's why I'm picking, because that's good to know. So if someone says, what's your greatest strength? I am organized. And they're all staring at us. So you want to say, for example, give an example. What you don't want to say is, I'm organized. So, like since I was 4, I was like this, and I was having shoes in order, and now I'm working in my right drawer, I have this, my right, and then people are like, you're losing it. So you want to have good examples, you want to be able to answer clear, you want to be able to answer completely but concisely. That takes practice. Because sometimes when we don't know what to say and we're nervous, then we're just talking until we sense that the room is looking at us like, please stop talking. And then you know to stop. So we've all been in that situation before. So practice is all I can tell you. And I'm going to throw in a shameless plug here. I don't know what your class schedules are like. We can do that anytime. If you want to practice with me anytime in my office, I'd be willing to do that. Particularly if it's right before an interview, I would love to do that with you. Tuesday, we're actually hosting a mock interview day on this campus from 12 to 1:30. I would need you to register like this weekend because I'm narrowing, I'm getting all the details together. But I've invited employers from the area to come to campus and to facilitate interviews with students. General, generic interviews, risk-free, there's no job at stake. They might have jobs for you, I don't know, but they're not coming for that. And they're going to ask some of the questions similar to the ones I just had up, some just sort of generic, common interview questions. And they'll have a rubric and be able to talk through what you did really well, what you should think about next time. And it's going to be almost a speed dating setting. So you'll go to one employer and you can interview and get feedback, and then you'll go to another employer and interview and get feedback, and hopefully get 3 in, is what I'm hoping. In about 45 minutes, I'm hoping 15 minutes for each employer. It's fast, but it's just good feedback, and it's a good way for you to really try it and really see what you would say to an employer. And then for someone, if you blow it, it's okay because you haven't lost anything. So maybe a little bit of pride. I only invite the nice employers. These people are volunteering to come and do this because they value the interview experience so much, and they really want to invest in students so that they're prepared to do that well. So if you're interested, you can certainly participate on Tuesday if you let me know. Email me, you have my card. Otherwise, if you have, as you get job opportunities, come see me, or even with a friend. You could do it with some. It's not rocket science. So if you wanted to say, okay, ask me some questions, write them down and say, ask me these questions. Let me practice. Somebody you live with, but just say it out loud because there's something about doing it aloud that's different. I wanted to share just some information. I don't know if this is exciting or depressing, but I actually looked at the statistics of what kind of money traditional criminal justice majors make. And this is actually from the National Association of Colleges and Employers, a survey that they did. And then the other statistics are here. This is from the Department of Labor. It's good to know where you're headed. I will tell you, my husband, again, is in law enforcement. And he does well because of off-duty. How many of you are wanting to be law enforcement officers? Anybody in here? Okay. He does well because of off-duty, and he gets to go see concerts for free, and he makes me really jealous because I don't think he should be paid for that. But he does a lot of off-duty, so I think the numbers these are just based on your core salary. But I'll tell you, the security in that sort of industry is, if you're good, good, and we've been very, very blessed by, my husband got his master's in criminal justice just very recently. He sold construction equipment first, and when that tanked, thought I have to do something else, and he was 47, midlife thing, and he thought, I'm gonna do something I really wanna do, and not worry about anything else, and it's been a lifesaver for us. He's much happier. He's a much happier man now than he was when he was selling construction equipment. So any questions? That was a lot of information I threw at you really fast right after lunch, so I'm sorry about that. I would love to chat with you one-on-one. You have a question?
I just was wondering if you wouldn't mind reviewing a resume that I have with me.
Absolutely.
Ready?
Do you have it electronically? Do you have it?
I have it printed out with me.
Okay.
It's because I went to an expo yesterday, so I still have a bunch with me.
Super. Yeah, give it to me afterwards. I'll have to go with that for you. And if any of you want to chat one-on-one either about where you're headed in your career or getting you ready for a job, or if you want to do mock interviews, or if you want to participate on Tuesday, just contact me, and we'll get. I work best by appointments. I'm sort of everywhere, so contact me, and I'd love to get to know you and get to know where you're headed. Okay? Thanks. Thanks for staying.
And those of you who stuck it out for the whole day, if you need to sign that roster, make sure you initial it for the fourth speaker if you need it for whatever instructor. All of you will be receiving from your instructors an evaluation of today's event. Please give me your constructive feedback, and even if it's horrible, I want to know, because we're planning on these in the future. We're hoping maybe on a larger scale. We're hoping, we've already written lists during this event. Chastity, Graham, and I were making notes of other speakers that we know that we would bring in to excite you guys when we were listening to some of the speakers that triggered other ideas. So please give me your honest feedback. If you liked it, what you hated, what you would suggest we change. And I appreciate every one of you coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's gonna be like
So you said you went to a job fair or something? Okay.
Some of the instructors in criminal justice class are so you're not in criminal justice class,
No, that's good. That's actually good. You have it on one page, which is good. The only thing I would do is here, instead of making these like sentences, I am responsible for assisting customers, just put assist customers by placing orders, prep, prepare and cook food, like make them bullets, just more like boom, boom, boom. So they don't have to, employers want to skim, and those bullets will kind of show like eight things I've done. But I think that's really good. This in particular is going to be really good too. Your volunteer experience and your awards. Yeah, so if you want to make those into bullets, start the bullets with verbs, which you already sort of did. Just take the sentence and break it out into bullet points. And then if you want to send it to me when you're done, are you applying for jobs now?
Yeah, well, we're actually looking, this is my.
Okay, where are you looking? What are you hoping to do?
different.
Well, I just, right now, I'm waiting to
RAS.
because the
So
area
we'll
of
go back to
AS
AS is 18 minutes.
If you go,
6 credits of criminal justice.
okay, if you go on our website, let me write it down. Tons of jobs right now, that's what I'm telling you. So let me come up here so I can write it down.
AA, which they have with all, get all your minutes, so you have elected,
Hey, you got
that count towards that bachelor's degree as well. In the case for the bachelor's degree, when you're done with your gen ed, you just take strictly criminal justice. So either way, you can transfer in, it's just that the AS is gonna be less gen ed, it's like English and math and science.
Kind of transfer.
Okay, so you're gonna, this is gonna, career launch. all together. You'll see on the right-hand side, there's a button called College Central. That's like our online jobs. Yes, and there are so many jobs. So if you want to go, you'll have to put your name in. It's just for Polk State, though. Your name is really except to us. It shows us that you were on there. But you can look for jobs in Lakeland. You can search by whatever, or you can just look at everything that's open in Lakeland or around there. And if you're interested in any of those, then if you want to let me know you're going to apply in case I know the employer,